the General Bob Carpenter's Top 10.
Yeah, General!
General, good to see you. Obviously, Ohio State loses to Michigan. That rattled the college football playoff rankings. I'm excited to see what it does to yours. Thank you for making time today. Let's go, General Bob Carpenter.
Oh, Coach, the college football world is on fire, and we sit here heading into conference championship weekend. I'm going to give you my top 10, but I feel like there's probably 8 teams that could be getting in here. Number 1, we're going to start off with the 10th team in. Penn State took care of Michigan State in a big way, 42-0. Take care of business. They're sitting there at 10-2. It's what they were last year, and they'll be sitting on a pretty nice bowl slate.
That baby, that matters. Number 10 here.
Yeah.
Can't play in the Big Ten championship, but we'll have a good bowl win to go into the offseason.
Let's go.
Another year. Top 10 finish.
Fiesta Bowl. They feel good about life.
Wow, okay. Let's extend Jimmy Franklin maybe 10, 15, 20, 20,
Lifetime.
30
That's it.
years.
Keep it rolling. 10-2, baby.
What do we think? We think we're going to crack in next year when there's no divisions in the Big Ten? Are we going to be able to get to the top 2 spots up there?
Well, listen, they can beat Iowa 31-0 and feel good about life.
Who's that?
Penn State.
At home.
Oh, that happened?
That happened.
Oh.
At home.
What do you mean?
Come to Kinnick next year, AQ, and we'll see what fucking happens. That's what I mean. He knows.
I do know, actually. I actually lost there. But now you add Washington.
Okay.
UCLA.
What?
Which
USC.
USC. And Oregon.
Oregon's a big one coming in there.
That's a big one.
Not that Washington isn't, no offense, but Oregon bringing in that Nike money.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of similar type recruiting there.
Yes.
I think that is, which is something big. Now, Washington's going to be able to recruit. Obviously, Seattle's a beautiful place. USC, UCLA going to be able to do that thing. But the Oregon humans, the players, feel like a Big Ten potential recruiting battle. Excited for that. Penn State's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Top 10 finish in the Generals. Okay.
Love it.
Who's number 9, General?
You gotta take it easy on AQ over there, Pat. I mean, listen, they're doing the best they can, all right? So give them the happy value. Got to boost them up, all right?
Yeah, you are trying.
Yeah,
You
nice.
guys are playing football.
Give them a medal.
UConn doing the same thing. Who's number 9?
All right, number 9, we got Missouri. Mizzou sitting there. Did a heck of a job this year. Probably one of the most underrated stories you're going to find. Drinkowitz, probably my pick for Coach of the Year with what he was able to do. They smoked Arkansas 48-14, and because of that, we got a Bobby Petrino sighting back in Northwest Arkansas now. So I know that's exciting for the college football world.
Exciting for us. We love the Woo Pig Suey folks. Hope Petrino's, handles his press conference costuming a little bit different than the last one he had over there in Arkansas. But we're pulling for him, and this Missouri story is a beautiful one. Schrader, we had him on the show, obviously former walk-on, went and did his thing, kid from Missouri, kind of taking over there, cooked quarterback great. And Drinkowitz, you're right. What a turnaround, what a team. And remember, he ran right over to Heupel's face, and he said, we staying on business around here. Mm-hmm. Got a good little attitude, good little moxie.
Love it.
I like the Missouri team. Now, once again, that's another story. When you're down there in the SEC, teams like Penn State and the Big Ten, you can kind of get lost there at 3, 4, 5. Are they able to make the jump? We shall see. Who's 8?
All right, number 8, this is where we really starts to get interesting, Pat, because all of these next teams, I think, can get in the CFP. Some control their own destiny. Some need a little bit of help. But number 8, I have the Texas Longhorns. They beat up Texas Tech pretty good. They played a lot better last week after Quinn Ewers feels like he's knocking some of the rust off. Arch Manning got a little sighting in the game. They might need a little bit of help, but I think the committee wants to try to get them in if they can take care of Oklahoma State in the Big 12.
And on the flip side, Oklahoma State would love to beat Oklahoma and then also beat Texas.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They get a big win. They get into the Big 12 championship. And then if they send Texas to the SEC with an L in the Big 12 championship, what a way for Gundy to kind of wrap up this season with that mullet. And on the flip side, Texas could take this Big 12 championship, say, peace, go over to Bannister, go right over to the SEC.
Yeah.
Take the belt. That's not something that's great to happen.
No, not at all.
Oklahoma State's fighting for an entire conference.
Yeah, need them for the Big 12.
Texas has a win over Alabama, but you got Alabama seemingly ranked higher than Texas. You and the committee are in a little bit of odds there. Who's at 7?
It is, because I got Bama sitting there at 7. It's been tough because they've been playing some really good football, man, and they've really turned the corner. You look at how bad they were early in the season. Double-digit loss to Texas at home. South Florida game, muddling around. They benched Milroe. I understand, Auburn's not great this year, but they find a way to get it done. Holy smokes. And one of the most, captivating endings you're going to find. And Nick Saban, I know, we never really give guys like him Kirby Smart, Urban Meyer, those guys don't get coach of the year very often because it's always expected. But this might be Nick Saban's best coaching job he's put on in the last decade.
Yeah, they were obviously ranked and appreciated because they're Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Then they lose to Texas, and everybody's like, all right,
Team 6.
Bama has a down year. This is how it is. And all they've done is gone to work. We've been very lucky to kind of follow this year alongside Coach Saban and the development of Milroe. What type of defense was Auburn running there on that 4th and goal from the 31? A lot of people had question marks on how that whole thing worked.
Pretty soft. Too soft.
Yeah,
too soft.
I mean, what a play.
I mean, unbelievable play. You don't see that every Saturday rivalry game like the General mentioned. Iron Bowl, don't care what the rankings are, throw them out. Great job getting that done.
I was watching that game thinking to myself, how did this team lose to New Mexico State 31-20?
No kidding.
Well, they were playing against Alabama. I'm like, how are these dudes even on this field able to lose a game in New Mexico State? I guess that's just how football goes. You never know what's going to happen. Rivalry games bring out the best, and Alabama got a big-time win. People are holding that over their head, though.
Yeah, they are.
People are holding that over their head. Oh, the team that almost lost to New Mexico State, it came down to a 4th and goal from the 31. Why does that team get anything? It's like, watch the whole thing.
Please.
Watch the whole thing.
It's different.
What did happen here on the defensive side of the ball, AJ? What do you think's going on? Rush 2? Spy?
I mean, Hail Marys, I feel like you got to get the quarterback off the spot and make him, you got to force the throw. Watch a couple of the Hail Marys Aaron has. If you don't force him and try to make him go to his right or left and, make it at least difficult, I think it's tough.
Well, and also, why do they have a spy? Is he going to run 31 yards?
Exactly. All 3 guys were basically spying him. Nobody was actually rushing him.
I'd like to run a little stunt game inside and flush him out to his left. That's the ideal situation.
And then he at least is on a tick on a clock whenever he gets outside the pocket because he doesn't have the protection.
I'm sending 6.
Has to throw across his body.
The other 5 get 20 yards off. I'm sending 6 guys after.
31-yard play has to happen.
Yeah.
And they pull it off.
Yep.
Somehow Alabama pulls it off. Maybe they're a team of destiny.
Could be.
Maybe they're a team of destiny. Let's go to our top 6 here, General.
All right, top 6 still control their own destiny. I got Oregon sitting there at 6. They're big favorites, by the way, in the Pac-12 championship. They disposed of Oregon State, did a nice job of that at home, 31-7. Bo Nix looked his typical fantastic self, over 350 yards passing, another couple touchdowns. It's going to be interesting how that Heisman talk shakes out as well. But Oregon, I think they're a team that people want to see in the CFP, given how explosive that offense has been. And then Dan Lanning has that defense playing really nice.
They do. Their resume is going to be one that is going to be tough for people to stand on.
Yep.
If you go back and see who they beat this year, there's not a lot of massive. Now, obviously, the Pac-12 was much better than it has been in a long time, and it's a shame that this is the last year of the conference champions.
Right.
Of course.
It is a damn shame. But some of their other wins, not great, but the way they're playing football, strictly eye test-wise, it's like, hey, this Oregon team is maybe the buzzsaw in the entire country right now. Selection Sunday just a few days away in the Pac-12 championship on Friday. Does University of Oregon win it, or does somebody in the top 5 win it in general? Who's 5?
Well, that's where I had to do it this week. It pained me to drop my Ohio State Buckeyes, losing 30-24. I know, it stings. It stings, man. But you know what? The tape doesn't lie. The score doesn't lie. Michigan went out there and executed and played a good football game. And, 19 million people watching doesn't lie either. I mean, it was a heck of a football game. You want to come out on the winning end, and unfortunately, they didn't.
You think they can still make it in the CFP? That's why you're putting them at 5, hoping?
I think that there's a little bit of hope there. They need some things to happen. Maybe they turn that OSU scarlet and gray into a little orange for them for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and probably cheering on Louisville Cardinals as well. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, so if Louisville beats Florida State, Oklahoma State beats Texas,
Okay.
Georgia beats Bama, I guess.
Yep.
Oregon.
You need that.
Washington beat Oregon, or Oregon beat Washington?
I think Oregon can beat Washington as long as it looks good. If it's a tight game and there's that other stuff happen, you may see 2 Pac-12 teams, which ironically, Pac-12 couldn't get anyone in for years. They could have possibly 2 if it's maybe a 3-point game. If Washington wins, I think they're in, Oregon's out. If Oregon wins and it's close, maybe both. But I think if Oregon wins by 2 scores or more, then I think that might eliminate Washington.
All right, let's roll to your top 4. That's a heartbreaker seeing you put Ohio State outside.
No.
That's a shame.
I know.
One bad
It crushed me, Pat. Believe me.
One best Saturday.
One bad Saturday. That's all it takes.
I got to be real with the folks, man. I got to be real with the folks. I've got number 4, the Florida State Seminoles, and we would talk about another tight one. They barely took care of Florida, poured it on at the end, but down 12-7 at half. Tate Rodemaker feeling his way around a little bit. Florida didn't have much offense. And this team is going to be, they're going to be the bane of the committee's existence because their results look good throughout the season. However, this is a different team without Jordan Travis. And they're going to have to put on a show against Louisville, who just lost to an average Kentucky team this year, to prove that they belong. I think the committee wants every reason to get Florida State out because without Jordan Travis, I don't think they feel like they'll be able to compete, even though they probably deserve to be in there.
Yeah, the Florida State conversation is going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
On Sunday.
Don't let it happen.
I cannot wait for it. Because even with Jordan Travis as quarterback, there's people going, is the ACC anywhere near good enough to have a team that represents it? I don't care if they went undefeated and they showed up every single week and did what they had to do. They go into Florida, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And beat Florida in Florida. And I know Florida is nowhere near what we remember Florida as whenever Tim was doing his thing and everything like that. But it's still a huge win with a backup quarterback. And now all anybody's hoping for eye test wise is just like, we need another team in there.
Yeah.
And Florida State's fans are loud, and they're going to be. And they're back in their eyes. If they're to go undefeated, win an ACC championship and get held out,
oh, man.
It'll be loud. Who's your top three, Bob?
All right. Well, Coach, hanging tough. If it wasn't for Florida State's rough performance, I may have dropped them, but Washington sits there at number 3. It's tied 14-14 all at half in the Apple Cup. They're able to pull that thing out tight, and I know that's a rivalry game. And it's maybe it's the last one in the Pac-12, maybe the last one for a while. We'll see if they can get it squared away. But you get worried because at the beginning of the season they were scoring so much. Playing a little tougher competition. Defense hasn't been quite as good. Offense has struggled some. And so I think the committee is looking at them like they might be a little vulnerable. And we'll see what happens Friday night in the Pac-12 championship against Oregon.
Hell of a year by DeBoer and Penix. Who do you got at number 2 and a 1? I'm excited to see who you place where.
I put Georgia at number 2, and they played Georgia Tech. It was kind of a little bit of a struggle. Georgia's been good. They've got some decent wins this year. Carson Beck was okay in the game, not quite hitting 200 yards, throwing a pick, throwing a touchdown. I think Georgia's been really good, but you've got to put Michigan at number 1. If you believe that Ohio State was sitting up there in the top 3, they have the best win of anybody this season now. They did it. It was at home. It was a big rivalry game. It was in front of God and everyone. Sharon did a great job coaching. Like they've really played good football this year when everybody was kind of counting them out the last couple of weeks. And so I've got to put Michigan at number 1. And believe me, it pains me like nobody's business to put them up there, but I've got to try to be true to what I believe.
Yeah, we respect it. They beat your number 1 team. You move them up there. A lot of things can happen in the next few days. Excited for your top 10. We got any gimmicks today, General?
Yeah, I got one gimmick, and we talked about it a little bit already, but I've got my Sixth Sense award that I'm putting out there because, Coach, I haven't seen an ending quite like this since I found out that Bruce Willis was dead in The Sixth Sense. And when I'm watching Jalen Milroe dance around and no pressure like you talked about, and he drops that 33-yard dime right back in the corner of the end zone, I'm sitting there thinking, as defensive coaches are everywhere, as D-Butt just pointed out, as AJ's pointing out, get some pressure on the guy, but give Jalen Milroe credit. They practice it. Nick Saban is a situational football guy, and that's a situation you see once a decade, and they executed on it for an ending like nobody's business.
All right. Well, they saw dead people out there, and we don't. Whenever we see you, we see a man that's alive. We appreciate the hell out of you, General. You're the man. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Carpenter.
Hey, Bobo.